Welcome to Slayerfest 98. I am Dana Piccoli.
I am Michael Ham.
And I'm Ian Carlos Crawford, and today we are joined by X-Men 97 voice actor.
That's
JP
you.
Karliak.
Yay! Yay!
Mhm. You needed it. You wanted it. I gave it to you.
You
Thank
know,
you.
JP, the thing I appreciate is I feel like I never ask someone to I'm never like, oh, do the thing. I feel like all of y'all that I've had on that are X-Men voice actors are like, embrace the thing. And I kind of really love
We
that.
we are self-dancing monkeys. We do not need to be asked.
Adrian Huff, when I had him on, just like kept going into Nightcrawler's voice, and like I would never ask someone to like do but like, and I had so many people saying like, how much did you have to ask him to do that? And I was like, no, I didn't do that.
Yeah. And I mean, I think part of it has to do with that, like, we're fan people too, so as well as being part of the project. So for us, it's kind of a no-brainer to be like, oh, I just want
Yeah,
to go.
that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
So we are here to talk Agatha All Along, episode 5. Uh, we talked a little before recording. I am going to be in the minority this episode. Dana, what did you think of this episode, just like overall?
Well, you see, I told Ian, and the reason I'm on this episode now is because I was like, I am absolutely fucking feral over Catherine Hahn in this series. Um, this episode for me was difficult. I struggled with this one because I loved the one before it so much. Actually, I've loved all the episodes, but this one, I'm not. I think for just like fandom reasons, like feelings reasons, the death of a character that I liked that I didn't want to see go, um, complicated narrative structure, people acting like they weren't their characters. There was some confusion. So I'm gonna say that.
Dana, you're being so polite. Hammy, what did you think?
It, Weirdly, Ian, I wasn't going to tell you this, but I am on your side. I feel the opposite to Dana in a couple ways. I think I've progressively just liked each episode more and more as they've
Oh,
gone on.
nice.
I have a very smooth brain, though, so I feel like just getting more of these characters, I'm starting to like it a little bit more. And same with
Right.
X-Men
Yes.
97.
Yes. I didn't want to
If I
say, I
talk
was
about
like,
X-Men 97 a lot, I'm so sorry. It's not just because you're here. It's just because it's a show I like to reference. The more horror, the better for me. And there was so much horror in this episode that I
yeah.
was just like, and it was for someone who isn't loving the show, having a short episode was kind of nice. But yeah, I liked the episode, but I do agree with like some of what Dane was saying. There was a weird energy to the way everyone was acting, but maybe
Yes.
that's plot. Who knows?
Who knows?
JP.
Yeah. Not as somebody who was so jazzed for this series, I'm not loving it. Um, it's I thought the first episode was very kind of like, okay, all right, Mayor of Easttown, I'm into it. Sure, sure, sure. And then in episode 2, I was like, no, you lost me. Episode 3, I thought was basically a Xanax, and yeah, I just kind of like Hammy. This was better, I guess. But
Question mark?
I'm feeling a lot of yeah, much like you, Dana. What is anyone's motivation? Who
What?
are
Where
these?
is my motivation?
It's like every time I see these people on screen, I'm like, who are you this episode? Who are you today?
Guys, it
Uh,
doesn't matter. It's a different decade. Isn't that
It
fun?
is true.
y-
It
We don't
is.
need
It is fun.
characters.
yeah, I mean, a lot of that, a lot
Hammy, you
of
said you were on my side.
Sorry, loved it.
just, yeah. To me, it feels like it reminds me of being a kid and playing Candyland, where I mean, the characters are colorful as hell, and you love seeing the characters on the board, but the game itself, the actual journey of Candyland, is tedious and monotonous as fuck.
Oh God.
So yeah,
Y'all
that's
are making
that's
me sweat. I'm like, oh, everyone's gonna be
Don't
so mad in the
don't
comments.
listen. Don't listen, Agatha.
no. Hey, she is chewing that scenery. She is
She is.
eating it up. She is enjoying. She's getting her best life. Aubrey Plaza. I mean, every look, every glance, every witchy
Oh,
witchy
she is
cackle that
enjoying
she's
the hell out
doing.
of it.
It's like,
Yeah.
yes, bitch. But
They both are having like a lot of fun, right? Like I feel like,
And to me, it feels like the set was probably like a really joyous, like powwowy sort of like they were just
yeah.
all giggly. And when the cameras were off and none of the production was around, they would be like, you know what the fuck is happening? I'm just having fun with it. Who cares? They're just having a sleepover and living their best lives, just playing D&D, and nobody actually knows how to DM.
So this was one of my favorite episodes so far.
I don't disagree. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I last week for me was the weakest. But I loved the end, Dana. So just so we're clear, like that was like I was like, oh, I love this because I like, of course, anything queer. I'm like, yes,
The Real Housewives episode wasn't the weakest for you?
that was my favorite.
Oh,
Yeah, that was
oh.
probably my least, well, no, this one's my least favorite.
I felt like I was watching an ad for Zoloft. I really, I could not.
How did I manage to get the only 3 people I've talked to who did not love this episode together?
That doesn't mean that we can't talk about it like critics
I know. I just
do.
avoid because people get mad at me when I'm like, ooh, this one thing I didn't like. So this episode for me, I was like gay gasping throughout. My only critique, kind of like what you said, Dana, is that it's too short. Like for me, that was why it's not my favorite because it was too short. I think I was talking to Kirsten White, who is also a co-host, and we were both saying how the trials. I thought the trial in the like Real Housewives house was like actually a trial, and the rest of them have felt like incidental. And that
I will agree with that.
this one also felt like incidental, and I feel like my critique would be like either like do it or don't. With the trials, like it's okay if like we have an episode of them just walking down the road and they encounter monsters or whatever, that's fine. But if we're gonna do the trial, like do the trial. But I loved all the reveals. I love the 80s vibes of it. I'm a sucker for that. I loved the end reveal. I think Jack Schaefer is very good at a reveal that even though you see coming, she makes it like fun. Like with Agatha, how we all kind of knew it was Agatha Harkness. We kind of like, oh, this big actor who's playing a neighbor that has a very featured role. Even if you don't know who Agatha Harkness is, you kind of were like, there's something there with her. And I will say that show tricked me to a point where I was like, oh no, this is all a red herring, and then it was not.
It was Agatha all along.
But also, wait, I love that song. I'm not gonna pretend that moment is such a moment.
Where is that song? Where is that song?
We've got one song, JP. That's it. You're gonna hear different versions of it.
They give me the most swinging frickin' bop since Cher sang the Shoop Shoop song. And all they sing that this season is the frickin' Lorena McKennitt Mummers dance. No, I reject
JP. That was a lot of references in one
my
sentence, and I'm
God.
impressed.
The Mummers dance. No, it's not. Oh.
Let me tap my tambourine. Like
It is. You are so. It is Mummers dance. You were.
yeah. Mhm.
I like Witch's Road, but it's not Agatha All Along. The thing I was gonna say is in WandaVision, it really wasn't Agatha All Along. It was Wanda all along.
But that doesn't sound as good.
Right. It's not as like fun. But like that reveal was fun, right? We were all, I mean, also it was like lockdown. We're all like literally sitting at home waiting for new episodes of TV because we have fucking nothing else to do. So I do think there's like, it's hard to recapture that specific vibe of like, I need this TV show because I have nothing else to do. But I feel like this is getting pretty close to it where like I am like waiting for next episode. Like I think next episode will probably be a Wiccan like flashback. Like it's the same way WandaVision, when we got the reveal that Wanda threw Monica out of Westview, then it was like the lore of Monica and Darcy and the other guy. I do think this is gonna go there with that. I just, I don't know. I love this episode. I was like getting emotional, like on the brooms. I was emotional and I couldn't fucking tell you why.
That was cool.
I know that was like
cool
fun.
Love the broom.
it's like kind of dumb, but it works, right? I don't know. I guess because it's like so cliche that it like circles back to like fun.
But like, and they're talking about how cliche it is, right? And it's funny, and it's like taking these enormous like roots, and like suddenly they become these things. And no, sorry, Wanda, Agatha like makes Rio's like green with like plant life and stuff. And that moment when Agatha looks over at Rio when they're flying is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I don't think Aubrey Plaza has ever looked so ethereal and perfect. Like
Right.
she looked, I mean, she's a gorge, but like she looked so perfect. And it was just like, it just
I
like grabbed you by the heart.
I when I was watching, I was like, no, I want them to look at each other, but then I think it's better that they don't. And it's just Agatha kind of like observing her beauty almost. And it's like we
Mm-hmm.
as the audience, like you said, Dana, it's like we as the audience are like, man, she looks great. And that's what Agatha's thinking, like, oh, she's beautiful. I love her. Like I
And I
think
want to point out, though, that's the one moment of the episode that Rio is not looking at Agatha
that is
because
true.
Rio's eyes are always on Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
I
They're like that. They're like that couple that is that hasn't that everybody is shipping and they're shipping, but they haven't been able to tell each other yet, and they're always like missing each other's glances. Like it's
yeah. That yes, it is that. I think we need to get a little bit more of the Salem 7 because I like the idea of like these like weird, creepy, horror, witchy, maybe demons like stalking them. And I think we need a little bit more because I think I was surprised in episode 2 with how creepy they looked. I've been surprised at a lot of the
Oh
horror
yeah.
looks.
Like
Um,
the like grudge thing with the
Mhm.
yeah,
upside
going
down,
down the
like
step.
that
Yeah.
always freaks me out. So they did come on and they were quite sinister.
Yeah. And I feel like we could use a little bit more of them. And like we get like a hint of them at the like top here. Um, JP, I feel like I feel like you had something to say here. I didn't mean to
Oh,
like
well,
speak
I
over
mean,
you.
no, as far as like the Salem 7, I mean, yeah, creepy as hell. They remind me of, lest I invoke her name, Toy Toy. The Death Eaters, from then like,
Yeah.
was it when did the Death Eaters start to get really terrifying? It was, what was
Is
it,
it
Order of the
5?
Phoenix?
It might be Order of the
The
Phoenix.
one where Sirius dies.
Yeah,
Spoiler.
yeah.
Whatever. I don't want anyone to read the books ever again. Anyway.
Fair enough.
But yeah, like hideous masks and just like, creepy, creepy. Yeah, love it. But then again, it's just like, oh yay, another Marvel villain that is only a plot device and has no actual motivation of their own or character development. Yay.
um
It's true. It's true. Like I'm obsessed with them. I love them. I think they're so spooky. I think they're so, dare I say, sexy. Um I'm obsessed with them, but you're right. Like I'm so disappointed that they are just going to be this terrible thing that forces the witches to go further down the road, and when they need something to kind of push them out of one spot to keep them walking, this is what it's gonna be. It's just a screen of these guys coming to just keep them going forward, and I don't know if we're going to get anything else from them. And I love them. I want to know so much more about their lore. I know a little bit about them from the comics, but like I guess they're all animals or they all can be animals. All their masks are different. I want more. I want more, and I'm very worried we're not going to get it.
And I do think that we're relying on the coolness of their creepy factor to be the thrust of why everybody is on board with continuing forward as a group, because it continually makes zero sense to me. I've forgotten what everybody's motivation is. Like I remembered that Alice's was her mother, because that episode was crystal clear about that. And what is Samira's character's name again? Just forgot it.
Jen.
Jen.
Jen, right. Jen wants to become unbound, but at the same time, it doesn't feel like, I mean, she's still able to do potions, so it doesn't feel like a life or death stake thing. She's just kind of a lot of it feels like along for the ride, and I really need to feel higher stake at all times, because what doesn't make sense to me is we keep flopping back and forth continually between like Agatha is the worst. She's a serial killer. She has
Yeah.
murdered folk on covens. She is horrible. And she's cute and she's fun and she's Catherine Hahn. Like, and why we're with her, but we're not with her. Like I you love to hate her is not a motivation for people to take a perilous journey with somebody.
You're correct. I do think that we are going to, I think the like thing we're getting at is that Agatha, they need to make her a little bit more like likable. I feel like they're not going to go straight villain with it. The same thing they did with Loki, which was for me a little jarring at first because I was like, this man murdered like half of New York with an invasion, and we're gonna be like, oh, he's funny now. But I do think with Agatha, there's going to be like either that coven she killed was like gunning for her kid, or like something where there was like a reason. I do think we're gonna have something like that to like humanize her a little bit.
And I think that, to your point, I think what we're missing then is
Is
that,
that
because I think the reason it worked for Loki, that montage where he watches the tape of what actually happens to him, that did it. Like that was such an effective way of showing like this is the path you've been on, and here's how it ends. And like Tom Hiddleston, he's
yeah.
amazing. Like the clear effect that it had on him of, it was like that sort of Ebenezer Scrooge type of like realization. Your life leads to nothing. It leads to
Yeah.
naught. And it was the whole transformation. I think with Agatha, it's like I'm not seeing the thing that's
You like
like
need it up top.
I need to change something. Or in this case, and specifically in this episode, okay, we're setting up that her power robbery isn't controlled. But even though she says it in WandaVision, like, I can't control it, I never got the sense that she was honest. I never got the sense that, or that after she murdered the whole coven, that she had a sense of like regret, or even better, fear of what she's capable of. Like, I
Yeah.
just got the sense of like, you know, like she was instantly just so pleased with herself. So in this episode, I'm like, I, I, I don't buy the defense. I don't buy the like, oh, what am I don't know what I'm doing.
See, and to your point, actually, I had someone else. I mentioned the Loki, like how I felt parallel, and someone else said the same thing to me. That didn't work for me in the show. Like in the show, I was like, all right, but he still did it. Like, I don't know. Like for me, like that. And so I guess, I don't know. I guess it depends on like if I really like the character or not. And I guess that's true of like a lot of people, right? If like, because with Agatha, you're right. You are right. There was no, I think we are doing a little bit of like retconning here. Um, and comic books do that all the time where it's like, whoa, no, this character was doing this the whole time. And it's like, no, they weren't. I was fucking reading that. They were not doing it because of X, Y, and Z. But I'm a little bit more like flexible, I guess, with that. And usually I wouldn't be. So I do understand what you're saying. Normally I was not flexible with Loki. So couldn't tell you why other than I like her. So I do understand your point with that. That was like a big point of contention with me with Loki, where I was like, still invaded New York and killed a lot of people. And we're just breezing by it. But yeah, no, I do understand that. So they're on the run. We get the broom scene. I love that Lilia, we keep going back to the fact that she is very uh, Willow from Buffy, to make a very basic reference from me, where she's like, those are negative stereotypes about witches, like blah blah blah, but then like does the thing. Like that reminded me of Dana, I know you know what I'm talking about, in the season 6 Halloween episode where she's like yelling about witches, and then there's a kid dressed as a witch and she's like, oh, you're so cute.
Yeah.
That's like what this reminded me of, because I love that they also, these characters don't get a lot of moments of joy, and I liked seeing all of them have like a moment of joy on the brooms. And even Patty LuPone is like, I haven't done this in centuries, but like is clearly having a good time.
I feel a lot of Buffy vibes from this show.
Jack Schaefer said in a recent interview that Buffy was an influence for her, so which
To
makes sense.
me, Agatha and Spike have a lot of parallels
Yes.
in like when I'm absorbing this. And this is what I'll say about Agatha. There are two things to me that bring her into a place that is out of like, she could just be this caricature, right? She could just be this evil, powerful witch or whatever. But it was this thought that she has lost the son. And I'll be clear, I don't have a ton of like Marvel lore. Like I was a casual WandaVision watcher. So the fact that she like has this loss, and also this connection with Rio's character, those two things kind of like ground her for me in some really interesting ways, especially like in like the queer aspect. And her connection with Teen, like thinking that Teen might be her child,
Yeah.
and like she's terrified something bad is going to happen to him. And so there are these moments where you see this lucidity of like, oh, she's a person deep down in there, like she's a human. She's not just some powerful witch.
And that's fair, Hammy.
I just hope we get the payoff. I agree with Ian in a big way with Catherine Hahn especially. I just like her. So, but I'm self-aware of the fact that I like her. So when I'm watching
Yeah.
it, I'm almost watching it with a more critical eye to be like, no, but she still did the murder. She still, and when she's evil, I hate her. Like I'm skipping ahead, but like the last scene where she's talking to Teen and has like the fingers under and calls him a dog or whatever. I'm like, you bitch. And then when she's like, anyway, I'm like, yes, who cares about anything bad you've done? But I'm self-aware of it, and I just hope that juxtaposition of those two things pays off in the end, and it's not just Catherine Hahn getting to be snap snap yes queen and getting to be this like incredibly evil character, that there's a reason she's going back and forth so much, and it's not just because she was good at it and it's poorly written.
When we get there, I do have like 3 different conflicting theories that I think it could be, but
How exciting. Stay tuned. Wow.
All right,
Edge of my
sorry,
seat.
sorry. We've gotten
I
totally
know.
off the course of this 11-minute episode, but we're flying away from the Death Eaters,
Yes.
the Salem Seven,
I
and
gotta I gotta point out, there's the one quote that I love when Rio's telling them the backstory, and they're like, well, she spared their children, and she runs in saying, moral of the story is, kids, always finish what you started. Mercy is overrated, and like putting on her coat in like a panic. I love it. Anyway,
Get your
continue. Sorry,
shit.
Dana.
the coat is a supporting character
It
in
is.
this. So they end up getting thrown off of the road, out of the sky, because the road brings them back, and they end up in a spooky 80s cabin for some reason.
So what was the point? What do we think? Like,
It was
I
Agatha's
was so
trial.
excited for the broom. No, the broom stuff. I was like, this is so cool. And then it was just like, yeah, but that doesn't actually work. So was that scene just built to be fun for us to have fun? Was it built so that the teen could have that moment with the broom so that later when the death happened, we like are supposed to feel something more than like it? I was so excited for the broom stuff. And then I was like, oh, darn, the road. And I was like,
Well,
we
maybe
just
they
built
got
up to this
too
whole damn
far.
thing.
Maybe
Yeah,
they got too far off of the road. Maybe that was it. Like if they
Okay.
were lower, then
I
it
think
was
so.
fine.
Maybe.
That is what I
It's
think,
physics.
Dana.
I don't know.
I was like,
I was
oh,
just so excited.
they got so high up, and the road is like, well, now they're too far away. They gotta come back down. Do any of you? This is a side note, but it'll be vaguely relevant. Do any of you watch the show From?
Yes, I love From.
I am obsessed with it.
It's so
Dana,
good.
that's what I was thinking of. How they like when they leave the town,
Yes.
the road just like brings them right back to the town. That's what I was thinking of with this, which I know is like,
I was thinking of any Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom people on the stream.
Hammy.
Yeah. You know, whenever like you're in the Lost Woods and like you're going around and then you go off the path and all of a sudden the smoke envelops you and pulls you back,
And then
Link,
you're just, yes.
and
yes,
Link has
very
an
that.
orgasm, like you know, like the
Yeah.
yeah, that's sort of what I was feeling. Is like, well, they went off the path. Now the little woodsy people pulled them in.
JP,
We got to get it back to the trial.
I really appreciate you making a nerd reference I don't get, because that doesn't happen often on this show. So
Okay.
Yeah, so they end up in the spooky cabin. I love the 80s outfits. I thought they were so silly and so goofy. And especially love that Patti LuPone is styled as an 80s horror movie mom. Like they give her this
It's always so
like a slight
painful.
Mrs. Roper-ness to it, you know.
It's always so painfully apparent that it's just like, by the way, everybody, Patty's not from the same generation as the rest of these people.
Right. She looks so good as a witch, though, and then they
She
do her
does.
so dirty every time there's a trial.
It's like, look, it's Janis Joplin, it's Sly and the Family Stone, it's Liza Minnelli.
I was gonna
Like,
say,
you
I
know,
liked her Liza Minnelli look. I
loved
liked
it, but it was just like,
Yeah. So
That's the old one.
mhm.
Also, Joe Locke, I was like, I love this outfit. Wait, this is how I dress now in 2024 at 41, and he is a teenager in 2024. Like, ugh. But yeah, no, I loved all the 80s outfits. I love that Jennifer Kale had the fucking fake retainer, because why would she have a fake retainer? It was just like a silly addition. Like at the end when she yells, she has to like take it out of her mouth. I thought that was like really good.
I mean, you don't want to throw down with a retainer in your mouth.
I mean, yeah.
They were ready to beat the shit out of him.
I'm gonna fucking kill you, Agatha.
I still didn't quite get why Rio knew because of the moon that it was Agatha's trial. I mean, I get that it was Agatha's trial, but I was like,
Didn't she
Oh,
kill the
each
coven
phase
on the
of-
blood moon?
oh, is that why? Okay. That
I
makes
thought it
sense.
was that each phase of the moon like whenever they get to the door of each trial, it's like, oh, it's this one which represents this witch in the trial in the coven.
Well, right, but I didn't get why the blood moon represents her, but I think Dana's probably correct.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, what does that have to do with Agatha? Like, why are we? But that makes sense, Dana. um, yeah. So they like this trial feels like it starts and ends pretty quickly. I wish we had sat
in
in
30
this.
30 minutes specifically, according
But this
to
trial
according to the watch.
It's less than 30 minutes. It starts and
Oh, yeah.
ends in like it's like 22 minutes.
But like, also, what are the rules of the planchette? Because Patty Lapone gets kicked out the planchette, nothing bad happens.
No demons.
No demons. Agatha pulls off the planchette. She does a little song and dance. Like, what are the rules? Like, I mean, the other ones have been pretty like harsh,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, no, you don't follow the rules, you get punished.
Well, this one was her trial, so maybe it was just
Only
specifically
for-
aiming at like, if she breaks the rules,
Mm,
y'all are fucked. But
that makes
everybody
sense.
else,
And for those who are listening, they're playing Ouija board. Sorry, we didn't mention
Yeah,
that.
oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
the teen finds the Ouija. The teen
I-
is always like, look at this
I-
thing that we have to complete.
I didn't notice that till I saw
Suspicious.
on Twitter people saying like why it is always him that finds like the thing they gotta do.
Mhm.
I did love when he's reading the rules to them and he's like, there's no talking over, and immediately all of them are yelling and Aga's like, where did it say that? Show me. Because she's just so bratty. I love her. He also says we have to Ouija, and she's like, that's not a verb. Which I did love.
It should be.
It's me with my students. So yeah, they do Ouija board. I said this on my reaction video, but I will say it again. I never had a Ouija board because my very superstitious Puerto Rican mother was like, that will bring in the devil. And my mom was
Yep.
not religious. It just like, that was her like hard line of like, no, absolutely not.
Yep, Italian Catholic family. No fortune tellers, no tarot cards, no Ouija boards.
Yeah.
Can I sidebar about a Ouija board for a moment? When I was a kid, I was a child actor and I was part of a professional children's theater troupe, okay? Of course. And we had this old theater and we were convinced it was haunted. So somebody brought, and I think that somebody was me, brought a Ouija board
Who knows?
to the theater to have a seance during like a 2-show day where we had a break or something. All hell breaks loose. I bring the Ouija board home. My mother will not let me bring the Ouija board in the house. It stayed in our garage for years until it was finally disposed of by my father.
I like that it just stayed in the garage. Like you didn't throw it
Stayed in the
away,
garage.
but
Don't bring
Mhm.
that thing in my house, she said.
Hammy, did you have a
This
Ouija
is
board?
no, I am all of your mothers. You're all that's crazy. This is going to sound, Ian, you're the only one who really knows the like story behind the haunted mirror that I have, I think, because you follow
Yes.
me. But I have a very, very, very haunted mirror that gives me a ton of trouble. So like I'm gonna sound so crazy. When I was watching this episode this morning and they got to the Ouija board part, I had to stop it, go to the gym, and watch the rest of it on my phone because I can't have Ouija boards in this house.
Do you still
And
have that
so-
mirror, Hammy?
Yeah, I talk to it every day.
Huh.
Is
Every
it right
day.
behind you?
No, this is a lovely.
It is
The
now.
the haunted mirror is also lovely, by the way. I'm not taking anything away from that mirror. It's also lovely. But yeah, so Ouija boards are not. We don't. And I'm like a spooky bitch too. Like this isn't Halloween. This is all year. And so all I want to do is like wear my little Ouija planchette, like necklace, but I can't. So terrified, scared that we're even talking about it now. Scared
Fair
to say
enough.
the word,
Let's move on.
not as a verb. Get it going. Go, go, go.
Again, Nintendo reference. I always hear Ouija and I just think of Mario's nickname for his brother.
Luigi.
Ouija.
I do want to talk about her Mrs. Hart impressions. I thought it was fucking funny. I also, so I mean, I feel like I sound like a moron, but in my reaction video, I'm like reacting to what they're spelling. And I said, Shart, what's that?
Yeah, I know, Mr. Shart. I was like,
Yeah.
That's so fucking funny. That's so funny.
I'm
Mr.
shocked.
Shart is
I was
so
shocked
good.
that somebody didn't say it. It feels like a line that must have
Oh
been
my
cut.
God.
Right?
Shart.
Yes. I do feel like it had to have been cut because I
Because
said it.
not only was it obvious, but also that's such a Ouija board thing of like you're putting it together and it's like, maintenance. Sorry,
Yeah.
got it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good.
Yeah. And as soon as I said it, I was like, oh, fucking duh, Ian. But like, I needed to say it out loud while watching to be like, oh, right. But what did we think of Catherine Hahn's impression? Because it was like so over the top that I loved it. I love the line of linking into Facebook conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
I mean, she's such a great comedic actress. Like this show has made me laugh out loud so many times. Like the moment a couple episodes ago when they're in this Jen's shop and she talks about her pelvic floor. Oh my God. Crying now laughing. It was so good.
I think you text me specifically about that,
Oh,
Dana.
oh my God, it was so
Yeah, and it's
I
like
loved it because I started to buy it too. Like I was like, oh, maybe like it was so over the top that I was loving it, but I was like, it's almost so over the top that I think she's really doing like this is really a thing that's happening. I'm bought in. I'm bought in. And then it wasn't. I was like, I'm an idiot. I'm
Well,
so
also
dumb.
because Deborah's character portrayal was so
yeah,
campy in and
yeah,
of itself that it's sort of like, sure, this
yeah,
feels on brand.
yeah. Like it could have gone either way with that because yeah, she was so wonderfully campy. And I do like Jen and Alice like, how you feeling? How's your face? When they think it's like her spirit.
And isn't it real that's like she's faking it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I feel like I just love that kind of dynamic where it's like not, I don't know, like Rio's just kind of like sitting back, like, yeah, she's scared, but like isn't not giving any other information, just like clocks her because she knows they need to keep moving, but isn't like, is like, no, I won't elaborate and like sits back.
I also love that Rio, and I mean, like Rio's death, right? Right? We all agree on
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Rio's
Cool.
death.
So every time there's a new reveal, when everybody's like, "Oh no," Rio's like,
Yes.
Yes.
she just lives
She's
for
having a
all of
good
it because
time.
like
Well,
what
it doesn't.
there's nothing, there's no danger to her.
Yeah.
It's like
Well,
you know,
doesn't Agatha say why is she like somebody says why is she here? And she's like for the journey or like for
Yeah.
the fun of it basically.
Yeah.
yeah.
And like that for me, JP reads as it works both because it's like, oh, Aubrey's having a lot of fun doing this, but also her character is supposed to be having fun, just like, oh, look at these idiot witches.
Yeah, I mean the best for me. The best part of the episode was they're all careening out of control on the broomsticks, and she's like,
I laughed
So
so
good.
hard at her witch's cackle. Like, I was like, I love that she's just like, this is stupid and fun.
It's like you were made for this, girl.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Um,
soon we get mommy issues.
yes.
That's the
Mm.
scariest part of the show, of this episode.
So, what do we think? Dana, you are very good at being smarter about queer issues than I am. I had a couple people
Mm.
text me to be like, do you think her mom like hated her because she was gay? I didn't quite make that correlation, but I could see it. I don't know.
I mean, everything's an analogy or a metaphor, right? Or I mean, it could be. It could there could maybe that evilness was something different.
Mm,
It wasn't that, she was some powerful witch, but she just was different than all
was
the. I
like,
mean,
yeah.
it's not like it wouldn't have been uncharacteristic of folks in the 1600s to
Right.
be like, she likes girls, witch,
Yeah.
So I
Which,
could see
but
it.
which came first, the lesbianism or the power sucking? That's the
That's
question,
true.
isn't it?
I mean, my guess would be the lesbianism. It usually shows up, puberty-ish.
But who could know?
But who knows? So could powers, menstrual cycles, witchdoms, it's all connected, frankly.
Yeah.
So, but also, I am also unclear, and I realize I'm the one that said that I like this episode. I'm also unclear. The mom was so she was faking the Mrs. Hart. We know that, but the mom wasn't the main thing because the Nicholas scratches on the like. I'm a little confused with that.
No, the mom was the thing.
Okay.
The mom did possess her.
Okay.
That happened. Yes.
But
The
then,
Nicholas Scratch thing happened so fast, and it
yeah,
was kind of just more like, remember, because Agatha doesn't remember everything yet. And so these pieces are kind of coming together. And when he said Nicholas Scratch, like something must have clicked in her
yeah.
brain. Unlocked, I should say.
I guess like
So
the. Oh, go ahead, JP. Yeah,
I was going to say, so he, what I was really lost about is like, was he the solve to the trial?
right. That's
Like,
yes.
was saying his name the solve to the trial? Like, and if so, what led us there until Teen sees him frantically spelling out his name on the board?
That's where I'm a little. That's what I meant by because I did get that the mom's ghost really was there, but I'm like, but what did that have to do with the trial? The solve was saying Nicholas Scratch's name.
Maybe it's a motherhood thing. Maybe it's the connection of mothers.
Whomst among us does not have mommy issues, so fair enough. Queer witch would have mommy issues.
Maybe in this case, like Nicholas Scratch was like Taylor Swift, who was like walking up to the Ouija board to like do his trial
Mhm.
thing, and then mom was Kanye and was like, "I'm gonna let you finish, but I'm gonna threaten her life and tell everybody to punish her."
You know what?
Love.
I buy that. JP, you sold me. That's what I'm going with.
My read on the situation was that like because Agatha's hands came off, the rules were if your hands come off, we release the demon. The demon was Agatha's mom or something that was creating that.
Yeah.
But the way to solve it was to punish Agatha. And I think the punishment was reminding her of her dead
Mm.
child or something like that. So that was like him saying the name and maybe her realizing that's not who he is because he doesn't have the sigil because he can actually say the name out loud. So if she had any hope that Teen was her son, she now knows he's not. And I don't know if that's
Look at
like
this. JP and Hammy
I
both
know
solving the problem with me.
I think Hammy, I think you're absolutely right. And that just goes back to what something that I had kind of pinned that I was going to say before is like because of the brevity of this episode, I wish that there were those glances between like
Yeah.
of Catherine looking at Teen and the hoping, the longing, the needing, and all of that
Yeah.
to give us that journey. Because I think you're right, but it was so thinly outlined.
These episodes should have been 45 minutes long.
Yes.
I,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I
Yes.
get I get that you want to have commercials and everything, but half an hour for a show that's as heavy at times as this show, it's just not enough.
And that has like 5 minute long credits. It's like, well,
Right? Why are those
25.
credits so
Yeah.
long?
And like, sure, fine, but then like let's make the episode itself 30 minutes and then 35 minutes with the credits. Like
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
been my problem with the whole season so far is I feel like they're putting all the work on us to figure out their story and their plot. Like they're hoping we'll all sit here and go, well, okay, he does have a sigil and he can't say his name, but he did say name. So then rather than being like, wow, look at the way Agatha looks at him, she thinks that's her son, and we're now realizing like we have to do the work for this show weekly, which
Yeah, like
pisses me off.
my time sitting down to watch Agatha is always double what the episode is because I have to go on Screen Crush and watch the Easter egg video to be like,
Right.
got it. Okay, that's what happened. Mhm.
I mean, I understand that, but I don't know. I feel like the unanswered stuff hasn't bothered me as much. Like I'm kind of just like along for the ride where I'm like, all right, sure. I wonder what that's gonna be. But I'm just like, I don't know. But also I'm like recording 85 things for it every week, so I like don't have time to do. It's like my Wednesdays from when I get home from teaching to when I finish this recording. No, till tomorrow morning when I have this all edited and up is like I'm just absorbing Agatha shit and like screenshotting and record. So I guess I just like my brain by the time Friday comes, I'm like, we'll find out next week. Um, I want to talk. We mentioned this earlier, and I want to talk about this when they do say when the before the mom does come, we get the Ouija board saying punish Agatha, and you all mentioned the like turn they have. Um, I didn't. I know that I am alone in this, but I kind of was like, but they all hate her, so yeah, sure. Like they all have very much said they hate her. And like she has shown that to at least from what we've seen, she has shown she doesn't give a shit, right? Like I loved the beat of who's Sharon after Sharon's dead body is laying at her feet, and they were all mad at her because it was like, oh, this asshole doesn't even care that one of us
Right.
died. So I kind of felt like, well, yeah, they're like, let's tie her up. They're not saying we're gonna kill her. Rio says
Right.
we're gonna kill her, but
No, she will
Since,
slit her
since
throat.
JP mentioned it, which I've been like not mentioning, but like we're assuming she is like a death or some sort of Grim Reaper. So for me, I was like, well, yeah, of course she'd want to kill her because then she can like be with her in whatever underworld or afterlife or whatever. So that's no big deal to her. I don't know. I didn't think it felt that out of character for the rest of them to be like, yeah, she sucks. She's been terrible.
Yeah, I see what you're saying, and it's kind of like I could imagine. Well, because doesn't is it Lila that says something like we could humiliate her or something
Yes.
like
Yeah.
they're trying to
Lilia.
figure
Yeah.
out like Lilia, sorry. Lilia, like we can humiliate her. Like it's not just like let's just beat her into a pulp, but like let's do something to put her in her place.
And Jen
And
says we'll just tie her up. Yeah.
yes.
So that's the only if they had been like if all of them were like, yes, let's murder her, then I would be like, yeah, that's fully out of character. But because they're like, just leave her here and do something, that's why I'm like, but JP or Hammy, plead me your case of why. I want to hear what you think was like, why you think it was so out of character.
I didn't think it was too out of character. I don't think they like Agatha. I think the only reason they're there is because their names were on the list and they trust that they have to be here because it's been foretold in the future. And if Agatha has to get punished to get to the end of the
They're
road,
like,
they're like, yeah. So I don't really think it's out of character. I think the writing is a little wonky. Like I never can tell if they really like her or hate her. So
That's the
I
problem.
guess
Yep.
it's consistent in
Yep.
that way that like I never know how they feel about her, but my headcanon is like they just want to make it to the end, and if they got to get rid of her, they
Right.
will.
I mean, like
But
Patty's character. I mean, I don't know why I'm having such trouble saying Lila. Lila.
Lilia.
see, everyone
Lila's
complains about Teen, but it's the only name I know in the whole show, so I'm very
She
thankful.
says, when she and Jen are walking along, they're kind of like resigned,
Yeah.
and she's like, "Death comes for us all." Like,
Yeah.
you
And
know?
Womp.
and I think to your point though, JP, I do think Agatha, we're gonna have to land somewhere soon of where she stands because
We're halfway through.
it is a little bit of like, all right, well, she's being really nice about this, but then she's being really terrible about this, and we're a little like all over the place. There was a point I had about Lilia, but now I forget. Something I just
Yeah.
thought
Gorgeous,
of.
stunning.
Um, what was I? Oh, right. For me, I felt the motivations really flipped a little bit because yes, they all hate her, but to flip to Jen's sort of like, let's kill her, or whatever. It just felt, I'm going to take out my retainer and I'm going to kill you. It felt severe, and there was a moment where I was like, oh, is she possessed now? And then I thought it was going to become like a sort of like shell game of who
Yeah,
the spirit.
I would have liked that, honestly.
I would have loved that
Because
because then it would have explained it.
I do also, I thought the like evil deadness of it all was pretty fucking cool. Like when,
So good.
Yeah.
and I was bummed that we already like basically saw the whole scene in the trailer. I was like, oh, there's gonna be more, but then there really wasn't. But I thought that looked so cool with like her up on the ceiling and then her like crawling backwards. And I love Rio being like, sweetheart, we okay? And she's like
Mhm.
walking backwards like a demon.
Also, like,
Mhm.
we would be remiss if we didn't talk about the fact that Alice has become, at this point, like the heart of the show,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
She has overcome this thing that has haunted her entire life.
Her entire fucking life.
It's finally gone. You can see the weight like lifted physically off of her. She has like this renewed sense of hope, and she wants to see the best in Agatha. And she's the only person that like puts themselves at risk for her.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, the only one that gets that sort of in the way that Jen doesn't get her redemption from her trial at all, like
Yeah.
or like her
I think if she had saved Sharon, she maybe it would have been a little bit more of it, but like she doesn't, she dies.
Mm-mm.
What I was gonna say is, Hammy, I don't feel like this would be unlike you and I if we were on the road. You'd be like, no, I love Ian. Well, let's leave him.
100%. 100%. Big fan, Ian. Big fan. 10 out of 10 would leave. No question. No question. Love the show, love the podcast, but
Mhm.
gotta go.
So she gets like unpossessed for a moment, and this is where I was like, what is this ghost? This looks like Charmed.
Wait, where's all that Marvel money?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard Casper. I've heard
It was not great. It was not great.
I've heard Ghostbusters. Like
I don't know what I couldn't pinpoint what it is that I don't, but I just it looked like fucking Charmed. I don't know why.
And meanwhile,
I'm
Catherine Hahn's out there like acting her ass off, like
yeah.
seeing her dead mother, who she still like has probably all these feelings. Why do you hate? She said, "Why do you still hate me so much?"
And then it's
Oh,
WB from 2000.
and then Rio's like, her mother's
Ooh,
not getting a hold of her again. Like, whoo.
I like that.
mhm.
Yeah, that was
I
good.
loved the like, oh, she just said she wanted to slit her throat, and now she's like, no, her mom's not doing it. Like, because she does care about her, and
But I
she
think
does,
you're right
And
too, Ian. If she kills her, she comes with her.
right. So
Mom
that's
kills her,
fine.
maybe she doesn't.
Yes, I
You
think
know,
that's absolutely what it is.
because the theory that I got that this is a screen crush theory, but but
So
Don't
I
worry.
came up with this great idea.
Almost
yeah,
no
no,
theory
it's
that
not
I say
me.
on this podcast is my original one. So it's
Yeah,
fine.
Not
whatever.
one original thought on this whole podcast.
But was the concept of that Rio is as a surrogate of death is it's not that she wants to kill Agatha. It's more like, look, you use the Darkhold to outstay your welcome. You're not
Mm,
supposed to be here anymore,
I
and
can
it's
see
my
that.
job
Mm.
get rid of you. And the reason we broke up is because suddenly you became part of my job, and you're like, oh no, I need to avoid, and. And so it's I still love you. I'm going to protect you from your harmful parent, and there's all of that stuff. But it's just like you got to die eventually. Come on, girl.
I,
Um,
I keep going to say, JP, that's a really good theory, but I'm like, no, you said you did. But I do like that. I am like, yeah, no, that makes sense. And like, that makes sense. The love she has for her, where it's like, we're not together. I still have love for you, but like, you fucked up my job, and you also are supposed to be
right.
dead.
And we're thinking here that they've probably been together or had some sort of love affair for centuries,
Yeah, yeah.
at least.
mhm,
I
mhm.
feel like because especially if Rio is able to recognize her mother and like know the like I assume that means that like yeah, that's like when Agatha was like actually young, like actually like 20, they were dating. So
I'm thinking
yeah.
like the whole Roman Empire.
Probably, yeah.
This is my Roman Empire.
Yeah, they feel like they've got that whole bacchanalian sort of like.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like that. That's the kind of shit I like in supernatural stuff like this. And I feel like you do too, Dana, right? Where it's like that makes their love so much deeper. And then I get like
Hmm.
corny about it where I'm like, oh no, I like this. um, so the mom goes to possess her again. And so wait, so this is my theory that I have that actually is kind of my theory, but I'm sure someone else has said it because there's no original thoughts. Thank you, Hammy. So when she's actually like, don't go, please don't leave me, like Agatha's freaking out, I'm of two minds. This is four fingers. I'm of two minds. I think that either Agatha is corrupt by the Darkhold and there's two versions of her that are there, and
Hmm.
that's why she's so all over the place. Like, yeah, she gets evil sometimes because the Darkhold did corrupt her at some point, but then like the other part of her that is like kind of loving towards Teen and like clearly doesn't want anything bad to happen is like the real Agatha. Or, and this leads into the next scene we're going to talk about, I think that like Rogue from X-Men, I'm sorry, JP, to bring up, but like Rogue from X-Men, I think she literally can't control when she absorbed. Like Alice zaps her and she says later, like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. I do think that's real. And then I think, like many men I know, she can admit, like she can say it for like a second and then has to put up a like face of, I don't really care, whatever, and be smarmy and shitty about it just to overcompensate for feeling upset about it. But also is like maybe a little bit of a dickhead. And that's why like Because again, going back to Agatha All Along in WandaVision, it was Wanda that did it. Agatha was just there like creating more chaos. She did not do all the stuff. Wanda did it, and Agatha just kind of showed up and took advantage of it. And so for me, that's more who Agatha is, not like full out evil, whatever. And I think like she just can't help the absorbing, and she just will never be like, oh, I feel bad about this, because she's not someone that's gonna like sit and talk about her feelings. I don't know. Those are my two theories with
I
her.
just wow. I think those are two actually really valid theories. I maybe let me enter a third
Okay.
that she couldn't control it at first,
Love to be a third.
but I'm watching like Catherine Hahn's micro expressions as she's doing this, and I think there was some point where she knew what was happening and she could have stopped it.
Mm,
But at that point,
it was like too
she
late.
had already had a taste of the power, whether she had wanted it initially or not. Once she did, she was like, well, I've got to take advantage of this.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Hammy, JP.
I think that as well, is that it's like, well, this is the hand I've been dealt. So,
Yeah, I do.
might as well roll with it.
Like, I really do think there's a little bit of that where it's just like she's like, well, that sucked, but what can I do? Hammy.
Yeah, and also in the sort of villainy, line, unlike our hero Rogue, if Rogue was a bad person, if she had this power, she's getting completely discriminated against and throwing people or want to kill her and throw stuff at her, to be like, well, you know what? None of you love me, so I'm just gonna kill all you. Like,
Yeah.
it's a natural line.
Yeah. Hammy.
I'm somewhere in the middle. I hope for the Darkhold theory just so I can kind of have a bit of respect for Agatha when we finish, but I do also agree that it is the energy of like she tasted it and was like, "Oh, yes. Yeah. No, this is for me now." And maybe she can get away with being like, "I can't believe I didn't mean to. I couldn't control myself." It's very gross in a certain way. Like very very bad anyway. It felt like she was lying and like, oh,
Not
I
good.
couldn't. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm trying not to draw like weird parallels, but like it just felt like an abuse and then some lies maybe at the end to me. At least in the way
Yeah.
it was acted, but I'm not
And of
sure.
all
I'm
the
praying for
people,
Darkhold.
and of all the people to
That's
do
the
it
killer.
to Alice,
Yeah,
yeah.
that
Uh,
was
Hammy,
the
I feel like I'm like, how many times has Hammy compared something in my life to what you just compared?
mm-hmm.
So, R.I.P. Alice. I was like, the thing I have really appreciated, this is gonna sound grim, but I'm a horror gal, that the deaths haven't been like Marvel deaths where it's like, oh, it's like sad, but the person like look, it's like that was like a dead body with its like everything sucked out of it, and she's just like a corpse, kind of like with Sharon.
yeah.
It's like this like sweet old lady's just laid up
She looked
on
super
this.
dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That was
very
rough.
upsetting, like
Yeah.
shocking, like, ooh.
And I
But
like I felt bad for Alice. Sorry, JP, what?
I was gonna say, but is there a red herring in that? Like, I do wonder, like, they're coming back at the end, even if they're coming back as sort of zombies, to further torture Agatha or something. Like, I feel like we haven't seen the last of the dead Coven members.
I think Alice and Sharon are dead, and that's it. But I think those two might be, only because with Alice, as you said, Dana, she completed her thing. Like there was character growth, there was a character, end to the story where like she did get out, even though that sucks, but it's like, oh, she got rid of the curse, found out how to get rid of it, and that was her story. So that's the only reason why I'm more inclined to be like, maybe she is dead. And the fact that Rio was staying behind in the cabin.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
Rio did stay behind.
That's why I was
that's
like,
like a
oh,
bummer, man.
it
Alice was
is.
so great and like not the one I want to die. Like, I don't know. It kind of sucked because like I also felt like she got her episode, but she was the one character who I felt like didn't get a lot of screen time other than her episode. And I was like, oh, they must be saving her for later. There's gonna be like this big, and they were like, yeah, we're saving her to further Agatha's plot. And I was
Uh-oh,
like,
they fringed her.
oh, that
Oh
sucks.
no.
Oh,
So
she's the one who
here's
gives
my
Agatha power back. Cool.
here's my theory, and this is not from Screen Crush. This is actually just my theory. I think that Agatha is the only one that makes it to the road's end again with Rio because Rio's deaf. We know this. Um, and I think the character growth is the option of like you can save all of the members of your coven, or you can, or you can and avoid death and die because hi, Grim Reaper here, or you can get your power and be the selfish bitch that you've always been. And I don't know which way she's going to go on it, but
And
I do
then
think,
end the series.
but I do think that's going to be the ultimatum.
Wait, JP, I want you to know I said that theory in like the second episode. That's like, I was like, I bet they're all gonna die. I mean, this hasn't happened, but I was like, maybe every episode someone will die. And then we get to the end and she has to make a decision whether like she gets what she wants or can bring these people that helped her back to life. And then she has to bring them back to life. And that's her like arc, is like learning to accept whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I do think that the only reason I got rid of that theory is because more people haven't died, but we do still have 4 episodes. So like, and Alice and Patty LaPone were next on my death watch list. I was like, oh, one of them I feel like is gonna.
Patty LaPone.
Yeah.
I don't know, we just call her Patty LaPone.
I always just I feel like.
And
More
for all we
respectful that way.
know, like they might be dead now. Like
True.
True. Billy could have knocked them out, and the rest of this is just going to be the trio of Teen and Agatha and Rio, which I'm actually all right.
I'd hate for them to have lost
I
their
know.
lives in this swamp of sadness.
I know.
You know?
Hey, if the never-ending story can destroy my childhood that way, so
Right.
can this.
Fair.
I mean, it's taken me all these years to get past it.
So I gotta say, Joe Locke, I thought was really good in this end scene. I liked his acting. I went from furious with Agatha because I was like, you asshole, you just killed Alice who was helping you, to then feeling bad for Agatha because she's like screaming for help. And they really like laid it on thick, right? Like this isn't a character that pleads, but she's like sinking and drowning and is like begging for help and not getting it. And I can appreciate the fact that they went from me being furious to me like being sad that she was like so powerless and being hurt. And I thought he did a really good job. Like, it's a reveal we all saw coming, but I thought it was played out so well. And I'm worried all 3 of you are going to disagree with me, but I'm wondering what all 3 of you think.
I think the hard part is last night I watched Joe Locke eating disorder episode in Heartstopper, and
That's like,
it's
Yeah,
slightly,
I've been doubling up on Joe Locke this week.
it's a slightly different acting muscle, and I was like, sure.
God. Dana just was texting me about Heartstopper. Dana, what do you think of this though?
I mean, I think I'm fine. I think he adds a nice element to this like grouping. And I think obviously he was going to always have a significant part. You know, the sigil, I was thinking about the sigil situation. How did the sigil get dropped? Right? Because it was no longer needed. Why was it no longer needed? And so who decided it was no longer needed? Did he decide it was no longer needed? Did he put a sigil on himself?
I think so. That's what I think happened. I think it's like he put it on himself to protect himself from Agatha, because otherwise she would have been able to like, I don't know, do a magic or do something to figure it out. I think there was something like that going on. And again, that's not my theory. Kirsten White sold me on that theory 2 weeks ago, and now I'm like definitely sold on it. But yeah, I think I still don't quite know where the turn happened, because I don't know, the sigil's gone, but like what, other than learning he is not Nicholas Scratch, is that all it took for her to be like, oh, now I know who he is? Maybe it was like she had 2 guesses and one was eliminated. I don't know why I put up my middle finger. One was eliminated. So like the last one left is Wanda's son. Hammy, what'd you think of this end? I'm curious. You're dressed as Billy, so give it to me.
Well, this is the closest I'll ever get to being a teen again. So this is what this look is inspired by.
You got that angelic face.
Yeah. I like that theory about his sigil. I'll just say that first. I think that's great. I will be interested to see if we see it again in the rest of the show or not. I mean, it's pretty clear who he is, I guess. I am not a Joe Locke fan. I dropped out of Heartstoppers a couple episodes before the end of season one. Didn't love the energy they were bringing. Um, then when they were like, "Oh, this is who should be Wiccan and Hulkling," I was like, "Man, that sucks for me, but okay, sure." And so when he was actually cast, I was like, "This is this is a boner joke, right? This is like he's not going to be Wiccan.
Like Ralph Boner.
This
Yeah,
is," and I was arguing with everyone because Patty LuPone slipped up on the red carpet and was like, "Oh, he plays Agatha's familiar," which wasn't actually said yet. So I was like, "Okay,
yeah.
he's a familiar. He's not actually Wiccan. This is all gobbledygook." So very disappointed in the ending. Praying that this is a dream. Um, and that Agatha is still currently in her trial and possessed or something, and that trial isn't actually over. And she's gonna wake up from the mud and be like, "Wow, I feel like I've been punished. I have changed my ways." And he's not Wiccan. So that is how I feel. Although the scene is great. I'll give you that. I liked watching her be like kind of cunty and then him being like, "Oh,
Oh,
okay.
really?
Yeah.
Let me finger you." So I love the actual scene itself, and I think he did a good enough job. I hashtag not my Wiccan, but what can I do?
You know, Hammy, do you know how often you agree with the people that are nasty in my mentions?
I am the people who are nasty in your mentions.
Oh my God. Do you have a Finstra that you just used to be
It's-
mean to Ian?
There's 85
Yes.
of them.
Some are Loki avatars, some are anime avatars, some are yeah.
Some are Taylor Swift avatars.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I I don't know. It's fine. I'm happy that everyone is like wants him to be and that he will be because I'm excited for people to enjoy it. I'm just like I just want someone different. I
My
just don't think he's
feeling,
playing the role right.
my feeling about it is if Joe Locke can bring in a demo of like young mixed orientation folks to watch a show about middle-aged queer women who have had a centuries-old love story and are like one of the most like tensely romantic storylines I've seen in years, I'm for it.
Dana, I want you to know I was like, Dana, they're our age. They're not middle. Oh, God.
Whoops.
Ian always loves to pull me into the age jokes and quips, and I just,
Right. I mean,
don't.
I am not. Oh, wait, I am, is what I meant. I was thinking.
Catherine Hahn is 51. Okay?
Yeah.
So is Ian.
Wow.
I'm gonna choke you. There was something else I was going to get to, but now I forget because Hammy's a brat. There was like another point.
JP, how did you feel about Wiccan? Don't let Ian finish his sentence.
Well, first of all, Heartstopper was probably as a series more valuable to me than 10 years of therapy. So sorry.
Can I just want to say my reasoning behind it was just like my high school experience is so far removed from like
I think
feel like
all
my
of
older
us.
Totally.
No, but I feel like my older friends who love this show are like, "Wow, when I was in school you couldn't be gay and like I wish I would have had this." And then I feel like people who are a bit younger are like, "Wow, like I could have this or I kind of had this." And I'm in this weird middle ground where I'm like liking men in high school wasn't like you weren't going to get beat up for it, but you certainly were going to get like made and so like I'm watching this and I'm like, I don't know. I don't find that charming or like I've never this I couldn't be as out
what
as
a
they were.
charmed and privileged life you have lived.
Well, I just felt like I couldn't be as out as they were, but like and I'm just kind of like, I don't know, maybe I'm just jealous. I didn't like it because I'm jealous.
I will say I'm a big Trixie and Katya stan, and like when they
That
did
was
their
really
Netflix
funny.
watch of Heartstopper, and they were just like, just fuck already, Jesus Christ. oh my God. Like, that I found hilarious.
I actually
Like she could not handle it.
that's that and then watching Texas Chainsaw maybe are like my two favorite ones, which I know are very different. But like when Trixie is like, let's catch up with these homosexual teens. And
Hmm.
then later when she's like, I don't know a single homosexual that watches this, even though like, you and I are saying we watch it, I thought that like both those moments were so fucking funny.
Oh yeah.
Um,
No, it's
yeah, I think Heartstopper and
Sorry, I started the Heartstopper
little
podcast.
little asterisk, editor Ashley, who we adore, has a Heartstopper podcast called Why Are We Like This? You should all check it out if you like Heartstopper. Heartstopper in theory would be something I don't like, but then in practice I am sobbing watching it. So
yeah. And
I'm go ahead, Stewie.
I was just gonna say, I mean, the truth of the matter is if these characters were straight and this twee, I would burn the whole house down. But the fact that they're
yes.
a queer couple, well, it's like there's something in the fucking water in Britain. Like, every single person they run into is suddenly like, I've been straight for this long, but you know what? I think I'm a little different now.
Yeah.
Like
It's like
it's insane.
sci-fi.
Yeah, sure. But yeah, so I fully get that. But right, Wiccan. I once again, the motivation train is okay. So let's say that Teen always knew who Agatha was to his mother. Then is he just using her and he's been actually has no allegiance to her whatsoever and he thinks she's the worst and he's just been playing up like, oh, I'm your little pet, but not really? Or is it, well, I don't even know what the alternative is. Like,
Well, so
how could he? Yeah.
that's why I buy the theory that he put the sigil on himself, because I do think he was being genuine in his excitement, but I think it's because he didn't realize until like what I don't know at what point the sigil fell in this episode, but I don't think he realized until the sigil fell. Like he was like, oh, wait a minute, I hate you. You
Yeah,
were
but
terrible to my mom.
well, that's what the question that I had about the sigil is like, yeah, it prevents them from hearing what he's saying about his identity. And we know that, like, when he does talk about his parentage throughout the show, he's like, oh, my mom does this and my dad did this and we went
Yeah.
on this trip and blah, 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 blah. Is he making all that up? Is that an intentional lie to cover, like, yeah, that never
So
happened?
Hammy, I don't know if you will agree with me. I do think that will relate to the comics, like Wiccan's origin, because it's in the comics, it's that like kind of what
Oh,
happened.
like Maximoff versus
Yeah.
Kaplan, like which Billy is.
Yes, because it's like in the comics, and correct me if I'm wrong, Hammy, it's like Wanda's kids kind of did disappear the way they did Wanda in a very different way, but they did go away. They were like part of her imagination or created through magic. And then their souls went into other kids' bodies that were like dying or whatever.
So far, so good.
And so that good. So I was still accurate. I do think that we're going to do something like that because also this age wouldn't match up with the child we have seen in
Right.
Multiverse of
That's
Madness.
what I was thinking.
But I am bad at like gauging ages, so I'm like, what age is Joe Locke supposed to be? Like, I'm like not fully
Who the
clear.
hell knows?
Yeah. Like my students, I teach college, and I'm like, are they 15? They're 25? Like, I'm like very bad at like gauging ages.
No.
I thought so. I might be way off. I felt like wasn't it Alice dying that snapped him? Like
But I
it's
don't know
not that
like
the
what that
sigil's
would have
gone, but
done.
like
I thought it was when oh God. I thought
When
it was when
Agatha said
Agatha
yeah.
said, "You are so much like your mother."
well, he comes out and he's pissed. He's like, "How could you do that?
He
How could you?"
was pissed, yes, but I don't think that necessarily had anything to do with the sigil.
Yeah,
He was
because
just
it
pissed
makes it
because he cared about Alice.
Yeah.
right. Because that's when he turned like he was mad, but then he goes full Carrie of like,
Yeah.
Right.
zoned out and like, I'm just gonna fry all of you. Which by the
That's
way,
true.
I'm sure somebody else has pointed this out. But the form of the sigil on his mouth is an M.
Yeah.
Or a
Or a
W
W. Yes.
upside down. Who
Yeah.
knows? Yeah, it's an M of some sort. Maximoff, Mephisto.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. In my head, he comes out. He's pissed about Alice because him and Alice have that broom moment where he's literally just going to get left behind, and she's
Yeah.
like, "No, no, no, I'm here for you. We're in this. We're in this together. Like you make me a broom, I make you a broom." And he comes out and I think he's expecting Agatha to be more sympathetic.
Yeah, I think
And then
so.
she's not. She's worse. And that's what like makes him, he's like, how did you do that? Apologize. Give me a reason. And she's like, you're a little cuck. And he's like, okay, that's it. Okay, we're done here. Like,
Oh my God, what if she really said that?
but that would, I could see it, honestly.
Mm.
But then I'm confused that he throws everyone in the mud. And so obviously you're right, he snapped in some because he's like, actually, you all die. You can all
I
go in the
do
mud.
think there's a little bit of Wanda. I mean,
Burn the prom. Burn the prom.
yes,
Mhm.
I think
Carrie.
to your point, Carrie, I was going to say very Wanda, unfortunately, in Multiverse of Madness when it's like, what are we doing? And she's like murdering people left and right and doesn't really make sense with the Wanda we got in WandaVision. But I think they're doing a little bit of that where it's like he's so angry that he like, I mean, Carrie at prom is the more accurate description, but it does
Maybe
track.
he lost control
Right.
like somebody else did.
Yeah, and like was just like, you know what, we're burning it all down, fuck all of you. And I could see that being like maybe next episode. I mean, next episode's absolutely going to be a flashback, but maybe when we check in with him, he's like, oh shit, what did I do? Because also Agatha can't be dead. We know at the very least Agatha cannot be dead because that is the name of the show.
Unless they change it to it wasn't Agatha all along.
Right.
Who
And, like,
else?
and like even when she's drowning, I was like, this is upsetting. Well, she's gonna.
They just bring Kit Connor onto the show.
So there is, and you can all tell me if you don't want to know this, because I asked a friend and he was like, no, I don't. There's a scene in one of the trailers that has led me to believe what will happen next.
I
Is that
want to
too-
know.
Okay. Okay.
Oh.
There's like a quick scene in one of the early trailers that I kept thinking of throughout the series that has like, I'm like, oh, I think I know what's going to happen because it's just like a quick 1 second scene. If any of you like see another trailer and you watch it and you see that scene, you'll be like, oh, that's what Ian was talking about.
I need you to message me privately later because I
I
need
will.
to know what that is.
I'm so worried that the next episode will just be him bringing them out of the mud and it will have meant nothing. Like they'll pull up out of the mud and he'll be like, smarten up, we need to get to the end of the road. And I'll be like, wow,
He's
the
like,
writing on
JK,
this is phenomenal.
Just wanted to give you a spook. So yeah, and then I gotta mention the Billie Eilish needle drop because it was very good. I thought that was like really good.
Totally. I also wanted to say that like the shape of Wiccan's crown being so specifically Scarlet Witch inspired also leads to believe that, you know, he's in the kooky I can't control myself sort of.
Yeah, no, I agree. And yeah, again, this episode is so short. I was like, oh, there's absolutely a
We've
post-credits
talked
in
4
this.
times longer than the show than
Yes.
the episode was.
Like I was like, oh, this episode is so short. I wonder if our like recording will be like 30 minutes, but no.
Yep,
If there's one thing you can count on with Slayerfest 98 episode is we can all talk. Now that we're at the end, what was your favorite scene, Dana?
The flying, the brooms, the blood moon, that was beautiful.
Yeah, Hammy.
Agatha crawling around as the Exorcist.
Fair.
It just was spooky and nice. And I will include like the scene like with Rio talking to her, like the whole that whole thing I really liked.
JP?
Yeah, I mean, ditto to all of the above. I mean, for me, it's really it's Rio's commentary on everything. So whether it's her witch cackle or it's the sweetheart, you okay? Like, you know, I live for all of it. I live for Rio really feels to me like when you're playing D&D with a group of people and everybody's serious and then there's like somebody's sibling or something that's just like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. I'm the agent of chaos. Like, yeah, like, well, what do you do next? I make pandas out of thin air and I send the pandas to attack everybody. That's right? Yeah.
I love that. My favorite scene was the end just because I was so like, I was gay gasping left and right. From Alice's death, which did shock me, to him yelling at her outside, to him throwing them in the mud, all of that, I was like, so I loved it.
If you combine all of our scenes, that's the whole episode.
It's the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
What was your favorite outfit, Hammy?
That's a great. I knew you were gonna do your Ian bullshit and just call out my name randomly with some stupid question.
This is a question in every episode, Hammy.
I was like, I knew this was coming.
The ghost. How's that?
Sure.
Very
no,
flowy.
You sack
I
of
liked
shit.
I liked Agatha and her little oversized sports jersey look. I thought that was cute.
Yeah, I thought her Friday 13th look was cute. Dana.
I am so into Agatha's coat and her white, like
She always
almost
just
shirtwaist.
Yeah.
Oh,
She does a really good dramatic turn with that coat.
it's
Every
just
time.
there's something about the silhouette of it. It's just feral. I told you, feral.
Dana, you know what I keep saying the coat reminds me of is Buffy's Becoming coat that she runs in, right? Because it's like not the same color, but it's shimmery and it's like a shimmery
It's
blue. Yeah.
structured similar in a similar way. Yeah.
Like I feel like if she ran slow motion around the corner of the high school hallway, it would look exactly the same.
We can only hope.
You know? JP, what was your favorite outfit?
Um, well, I actually think Evanora, that's her name, right? No,
Yeah.
not Evanora.
Isn't it?
Evanora.
I think it is.
Also, Evanora was the name of Mila Kunis's character from the Oz the Great and Powerful. I just realized that as well.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Wait, Mila.
You're right. It's Evanora. Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
All right.
I did watch that adaptation of The
That
Wizard
was
of
my
Oz.
question. And
Yeah.
enough to have the name memorized. It's very good.
Yeah. I watch the clips every once in a while on YouTube. It's not so much that I'm rewatching the movie. It's more just like, oh wait, is this the part where she cries the streaks on her face? I'll watch that again. Anyway, look, I love Evanora's ghosty roby thing. Anybody whose character description is literally just taffeta, I'm in. Yeah, no, Catherine's jersey thing. Now, partially because of just how the homage that it was, but also I think it's a better 80s look than her 80s look from WandaVision, which was like the aerobics look, which was fine, but this one actually grounds it a little more. And also, I think it looked so good when she had her full face makeup. The horror makeup was just the best.
I think Joe Locke's outfit was my favorite just because I was like, I would wear that now. That's like something I would wear. I have a fanny pack. I just wear it around my shoulder instead. So yeah, his outfit was my favorite. What is it so we already talked about our theories. What would you like to see move? Like if there's one thing you could pick that you absolutely want to see moving forward, what would it be, JP?
Look, the whole reason that I'm still watching this series and that I will watch it till the very end.
It's so you could be on this podcast.
Yes, is that I need screen time with you. Is that I'm probably an idiot for expecting this because, it's such a pipe dream, but it's like, I need this series to be the unmaking of Multiverse of Madness. I need Elizabeth Olsen to rise from the grave at the end and be like, I'm back, bitches. I need it to somehow unmake everything that happened. And if it does that, I will be thrilled. But other than that, nothing will appease me.
Dana?
I think I need to see Rio and Agatha's some sort of connection, their backstories. We need to get to the root of it because we know there's so much there. And if it is indeed what we think it is, and I'm pretty sure we've been confirmed that this is this canon relationship, that would be a really big deal.
Yeah.
I think for Marvel, I think for fandom, to have these two really powerful, extremely interesting chemistry-ridden characters.
Their chemistry is fantastic.
Fantastic. Be long lost loves of each other. I think that would be really cool.
Hammy?
Great answers, everyone. Really, really great answers. I loved those.
He's stalling for time.
You need Billy to not. You need Teen to not be Billy Kaplan.
I need for this to be a dream. All of it to be.
You need Patrick Duffy to wake up and be like, "What just happened? It was all a dream. Where is JR?"
That would be. I hope it stays mildly self-contained and we don't get any tags at the end that are like, and what future will come from these characters? I hope we don't get any more characters introduced at all. Or, at the very least, actually give us Mephisto. I know that's crazy, but just put him in so we can all shut the fuck up. But I'm just here. I'm just watching so I can be on the podcast with Ian, so I don't care what happens.
CJP?
And And
Dana,
that's how you get uninvited.
Dana, I love that your dog sat up when Hammy said Mephisto. Like he was
And
like,
my
"What'd he
cat is
say?"
facing the wall. It's
What could
time
it
for
mean?
it's time for their crunchies. So they're like,
They're like, come on, come on. What grade do we give this episode? I'll go first. I give it an A. Dana,
B minus.
JP.
B plus.
All right.
Ooh.
Hammy.
B plus.
Okay.
B plus. B plus.
Did I convince you guys that it wasn't that bad, or like, no? Okay.
No.
Because sometimes when I'm on, like, especially Dana still does them, Hammy quit. When we do the Angel recordings, Dana, I feel like there are a lot of episodes where like I am then convinced that, oh, this wasn't as bad as I thought it was.
It's always nice to look back
Yeah.
without anger.
Thank you all for joining me. Thank you all for listening. If you like Slayerfest 98, you can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and anywhere else you get your podcasts. You can watch this video recording on our YouTube channel because all of our recordings are now also video recordings. You can follow us on social media at SlayerFestX98. And you can support us on Patreon. We're covering X-Men the Animated Series, Batman the Animated Series, and Buffy Season 4 for the season's 25th anniversary. And we do Zoom calls and watch-alongs. And Tammy, what was
Angel
that face?
season 3 as well.
And we're covering in the main feed Angel Season 3 and Agatha. And if you want to follow me, I'm at ENX Carlos. Dana, where can everyone find you?
You can find me pretty much everywhere at Dana Piccoli 2Cs1L.
And JP, where can everyone find you?
At JP Karliak on Instagram.
And
Period.
Hammy, where can everyone find you?
You can find me at Hammy73 on Instagram or michael.ham.cosplay if you want to see some of my nifty little costumes.
You know, he's so demure. He's like,
Little
you know,
some-
those things.
Just those little costumes or whatever.
Thank you all, and we will see you next time. Bye.
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 Sorry.
Ian, you're doing too much.
I
That
know.
was a